I find it really sad and pathetic to watch naive American liberals protesting in favor of relaxed border security. When being a citizen of Europe myself, where we have no border security, I've seen firsthand just how bad things can get, and I promise you all right now, it's going to get just as bad, if not far, far worse, over on your side of the pond, if you don't tighten up that border security. The conversation in America, as far as I can tell, mostly surrounds an influx of Latin American immigrants coming into the country. Right now in Europe, people wish it was just Catholic Latin Americans coming in. No. We get the worst of it. And I promise you, you're going to get the worst of it as well. So let this video serve as a reminder to you all just how bad it's going to get if you don't continue allowing your government to do its job and clean up the border.
What would happen to a gay couple in Gaza?
Executed according to Islamic law. Islam doesn't endorse gayism. Islam doesn't endorse homosexuality. Just like Canada doesn't endorse a lot of things.
And do you think that's good?
If I were to...
Do you think that's good, sir? Do you think it's good for gays?
In Canada, I would get executed, right? I would get prosecuted. In the same way, Islam doesn't approve of being gay.
I see. Okay, so would you like to see Sharia law in Canada replace Canadian law?
At some point it will. You know, because we have families, we are making babies. You're not. Your population is going down the slump,
That's
right?
Yeah.
And by 2060, according to Pew Research Institute, your research, by 2060, Muslims will be the biggest religious group the world over.
Right.
What are you going to do then?
Actually,
are you going to oppose Sharia even then?
Well, you know what?
Are you still going to oppose Sharia then?
I'm very appreciative of the honesty. We don't usually get that. So
Yeah,
you do
I'm
support
honest, I'm
Sharia.
honest.
You do want a Muslim majority nation in the West End, correct?
Just like you had a Western majority nation in a land of Native Americans, one day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada. Right in your face.
I chose to lead with this video here because it's extremely close to home for me. This is my home city. But it's also extremely close to home for my American viewers. Canada's just right above you. And the scary thing is, the things he's saying in this video are all true. And the statistics he's citing, they've actually lowered the number. They predict by the year 2050, Native Canadians are going to be the minority in their own country. So as he says, if the majority vote wants to put Sharia law in place in a democracy, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. Canadians, native-born Canadians, aren't having children, whereas all these people coming over are having like 5-6 children apiece. So it's really not going to take long at all before they are the majority in the country. This is just scientific. This is just a fact. This is how numbers work. And aside from places like Dearborn, Michigan, I don't quite think Islamism, true Islamism, has hit America the way it's hit Europe. So for my American viewers who don't fully understand what Sharia law is and how it works, basically it's a set of laws and rules laid out by the Quran, the book followed by the Muslim people, and you need to follow these rules and laws if you are to be a good Muslim. Currently in the UK, there are at least 85 Sharia law courtrooms, though the number's projected to be higher, and Muslims will handle their disputes in a Sharia law courtroom rather than following British legal proceedings. People have an issue with this, but they're allowed to do it thanks to loud, in-your-face liberal leftists who aren't doing their research and will call you an Islamophobe if you say there's a problem with it. A good example for why people in the West find this to be a major problem would be how these courts deal with something like disciplining your wife. So, the way the book goes, first, you discipline your wife. If that doesn't work, you forsake her in her own bed. That's what it says. Look this up. If that doesn't work, then you just get to beat the shit out of her. Again, look this up. And despite things like this being common knowledge accessible to anybody on the internet, liberals in Europe are still like, come on in. Can't bring him in fast enough. Okay, now we're moving on to the next issue.
Hang on, what did he just do? He was very close, I can guarantee you that. Listen, I don't support what they're standing for, but I don't fucking like that. Call the police. Call the police. Yes, it's sexual assault. Now stay here.
The police are on the phone. This is allegation. This is allegation. Don't touch me.
Allegation? I seen you very close to her, right up her. What are you doing?
Don't touch me.
Why would you do that to somebody? Why would you do that?
I was in mood.
You was in the mood? Is that what you do in your country? You just go up to women and...
No. Sometimes.
Another key factor outlined by their laws is that women have 50% the value of a man, and their word means 50% what a man's word means. I've said this in another video. So this guy, fresh off the boat, he only just got to England weeks prior, I believe, goes up to a woman in the street, reaches up her backside and sexually assaults her. And thankfully these guys grabbed him for doing it. But he asked him directly, why would you do that? And he just straight up says, I was in the mood. This is what we do when we're in the mood. And he was asked, is this normal in your country? And he goes, yeah, sometimes.
So you really think that's acceptable?
Yeah.
The argument I always hear the left making is that native-born British people or Canadians or American citizens are committing crimes like this all the time as well. And like, yeah, sure, we have some freaks too in our countries. But it's a stupid argument because it can always be countered with, and why would we want to import more of those crimes if we already have a problem here? But there's a massive difference between the odd freak over in the Western world going against the culture and doing something they've been brought up to believe is not okay, versus someone who was brought up in a culture and taught to believe it is definitely okay. It's not just going to be the odd guy here or there. It's going to be massive numbers of them committing crimes they've spent their whole life thinking you're allowed to commit. Liberals are always letting their emotions get in the way of their free thinking, and they can't even consider criticizing someone for their culture or what that culture does, because they believe that just immediately makes you a racist. But me personally, I'm a man of science. I let the stats and evidence speak for itself, and then I form my opinion. And if the whole world could just do that, I don't even think we'd be dealing with these issues today. But sadly, the scenes in Europe have gotten a lot darker than what you've just seen in that video, and we are going to get into that next.
Please. In his room at his temporary accommodation while seeking asylum, police finally tracked down the man responsible for raping a 12-year-old girl.
What's your name?
Ahmed Mulakil had attacked her in Nuneaton 4 days earlier, after first spotting her while out with his friend Mohammed Kabir, swinging on a zip wire in a playground.
I think it would be obvious to anyone that we are dealing with a child. You're dealing with a 12-year-old victim who's been raped multiple times.
Shortly before the attack, Mulakil was recorded on a doorbell camera asking her age. He lured her to a secluded area where he raped, sexually assaulted, and took indecent pictures with her.
Unfortunately, these things are happening so frequently over here, it's impossible to keep track of all of them. I really didn't need to look too far to find that video because this was just in the news headlines today. Just a few hours ago, this is what was on the news, this video. And if you're from a culture where this is just the normal thing to do, like it's just normal to get away with doing something like this, I don't even blame you first. You're just doing what you know. No. I would first blame the liberals who are so loudly in this country, allowing these people to keep coming over in the masses, getting away with doing this kind of thing. Like, they criticize someone like me just for calling it an issue before they criticize a guy like that. And it was only just a few weeks ago we were dealing with these two guys here.
A pair of Afghan nationals are facing prison sentences, sex offender registration, and deportation after pleading guilty to raping a 15-year-old girl in a park in central England. Grainy surveillance footage released by the Warwickshire police showed the two asylum seekers on either side of the victim, guiding her away from her friend group before launching the attack. Prosecutors said the 15-year-old boys brought the victim, who was out drinking with her friends, to a, quote, den-type area in a park known as the Newbold Common, where they pushed her to the ground and assaulted her.
I think the evidence very plainly and clearly shows that people from this part of the world just think this is something you can do. This is normal behavior that you can get away with. Why wouldn't you continue to do what you've been normally doing your entire life? And the sad thing is, when I bring up this issue to people in my life who are more left-leaning, they've never even heard of these cases because the media they consume, the algorithms they're stuck within, divert entirely from the issue. So when I bring up something like this, talking about how much of an issue it is, they think I've lost my mind. I'm talking about things that aren't even happening. One of the saddest things is, I could keep going on and on showing you cases like the two you've just seen there, just to really drive this point home. But if I were to include everything that happened in the UK in the last 12 months alone, this video would literally take hours to finish, and I'm not exaggerating. So unfortunately, we're now going to move on to talking about when the situation takes an even darker turn than what you've already seen there.
This is the depraved dance of a murderer high on his crime. Deng Cholmajek had attacked a staff member from the asylum hotel where he was being housed. Outside he celebrated, while in the background police and paramedics rushed to help. Seemingly excited after stabbing 27-year-old Rhiannon White more than 23 times with a screwdriver. She died in hospital 3 days later, never making it home to her son. On the 20th of October last year, Majek, circled in green, kept staring at Rhiannon, seen here with blue hair, One colleague said it felt like he was planning something. He was. After she finished her shift at 11 p.m, Rhiannon left the Park Inn Hotel on foot, crossing a car park and walking under the motorway to reach Bescot Stadium station. CCTV footage shows Rhiannon in the car park on her phone. She was catching up with one of her best friends. 90 seconds later, Majek was caught on the same camera, tracking her. Her friend heard her screams as Majek launched his frenzied attack, stabbing her repeatedly in the head with a screwdriver. Majek was arrested before dawn. His only defence has been denial, even though clothes found in his room were covered in Rhiannon's blood.
This case should really hit home for the liberals of America protesting for open borders. Because this girl was one of your own. She had the blue hair and everything. She was volunteering her time to help out at the asylum hotel, doing what she believed it meant to be a good person. And where did that land her? It landed her in her grave. If you choose to willingly import millions of people from a lawless land, they're not just going to learn to respect and obey your laws overnight. It's going to take years, maybe decades of patience and trial and error and expense trying to rehabilitate these people. So from where I'm sitting over here in Europe, when I turn on the news and I see all these people protesting ICE and asking for open borders in America, I laugh out loud at how ridiculous you people are. Like you clearly know nothing about the truth of the world. You have no idea what's coming to you. And like I said at the beginning of this video, we over here in Europe wish it was just Catholic Latin Americans coming over in the masses. This is what's in store for you. Everything you've just seen in this video is what's coming for America. And it's going to hit you so fast, you're not even going to know it. By the time that happens, like over here, it's a bit too late. And then it's a whole other issue. So if you're an American and you know people in your life who are liberal and like how I just described, show them this video. Make them watch it. Make them see the true reality of what's around the corner for you guys. And hopefully, maybe, I can help to change a few minds here or there. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.